Okay, so I've been working all day trying to get you the craziest, coolest list that you can start running immediately today with the brand new Tyranids in the Warriors detachment. This detachment has me super, super excited. I've got a couple things that I've come up with since I did the initial review of the detachment. This actually gives us an option to play an army specifically for teams Warhammer that is ungodly and really, really cool. There's so many things that we can do with this detachment. I'm starting to think it's actually better than I thought it was on my initial assessment. It is going to take a very specific style of list building. So I've actually got four because I got a bonus list for you as well. That one's kind of a meme, but there's some real stuff behind the meme. But here we go. I'm going to start breaking these down for you. First things first. Um, this detachment loves the big bugs. I gotta say, I know everyone's really excited about the Warriors, and trust me, the Warriors have some love here, and you're gonna see it in the list I'm gonna give you. But this detachment loves the big bugs. X screen goes to strength 11. It can ignore cover. It can get reroll ones to wound. Tyranid effects with an acid spray can go get a strength 8 acid spray with this. Hello. You can get a Maliceptor who's going to go up to strength 12 on his gun, and then ignore the cover, reroll the ones. It can be wild. And then remember, if you're within his range and you have to be under half your strength, he can. Oh wait, no, sorry, that applies to you. Ignore that last part. Then dare I say, if you have him, if you have the Harridan, guys, trust me, if you have the Harridan, you're gonna love the Harridan because look at this profile. You can have two of these, which is gonna be 2d6 plus 12 shots. Hitting on threes, you can get it re-rolling ones to hit just because you had an X-Grin, right? And then we can go up to strength 12 on this bad boy with 4 CP, thanks to the new strats that we have. And then you can also give him reroll wound rolls of 1. And then using the Harridan's innate ability, you can give itself plus 1 to wound. So you can have 2d6 plus 12, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, strength 12, plus 1 to wound, rerolling 1s, AP 3, ignoring cover, damage 3 guns that are also blast. This thing is actually terrifying. I'm not saying that the Harridan is the way to go, but bro, if you've got one. All right, so anyway, the big winners, I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to immediately start running into these lists here for you guys. All right, the ranged warriors here, in my opinion, are one of the big winners. I think melee warriors are happy as well, but the ranged warriors are really, really, really good. I think almost every list, I should type in almost, is going to want minimally like 2. One's going to be run with the Neuro Tyrant, and the other's probably going to be with the Prime, who gives it plus 1 to hit. The -1 to hit can be a real option as well. Although sometimes you might actually even want to take that -1 to hit Prime with a unit of like 20 Gargoyles. Because a unit of 20 Gargoyles with -1 to be hit with a 5-up invulnerable save. Because remember, now that the Tyranid Prime, who has the Warrior keyword, is leading the Gargoyles, he'll give them the 5-up invulnerable save. Ooh. Pretty brutal. They can be -1 to hit with a 5-up invulnerable save. He gives them sustained hits. You can spend a CP to give them +2 strength. So suddenly you have 20 flesh borers that can be rerolling hit rolls of 1, sustained strength 7. It's actually kind of wild what you can do with gargoyles. Although I think it's too expensive. I think it's more cute than anything else. But it realistically could be pretty awesome. Okay, then Advance and Charge is likely too expensive in a lot of the armies. But as you're going to see some of the one that I'm going to give you here, we're probably going to get Advance and Charge on them. And guys, don't forget, your ranged warriors actually still have decent melee. It's like 5 attacks at strength 5, AP 1, damage 1, and they innately have fallback, shoot, and charge. So your ranged warriors are, I think, one of the big winners from this detachment. And I'm going to start the first list off that really loves the ranged warriors. And we're going to get less ranged warriors as we go. So this first one is Yog's Way. If you guys don't know Yog, he's a Peach. He is a Chad. He's a really, really long-time community member of the Happy Corrupted Wargaming Discord. He has a really good brain for the game, and he understands. He's got this pulse on just different list building, and he does a really good job with this. So I really appreciate his input a lot of times. And if you want to know my thoughts, Yoke's thoughts, and others really great people's brilliant thoughts, you should join the Happy Corrupted Wargaming Discord as a member. We do have a free section, but that's really just for people to post questions where we can answer and get you guys clarified. If you want to be involved in all of the discussions, you have to be a member on either Coffee or a member on YouTube. Just become a YouTube member, then link your Discord to your YouTube to the Discord, and you'll become a member of the honestly highest level strategic thinking Discord in the freaking world. So this is Yog's Way here. He's going to run the Neuro Tyrant, who's going to have the enhancement to lead warriors. He's going to lead 1 winged Tyranid Prime, who's going to have the enhancement to give his unit +1 to hit. 2 units of Gargoyles. He's got a 10 mana of Hormagaunts. This is just a great unit to go get you Air Denial early, or just there's just so many things that you can use Hormagaunts for. So there's a reason to keep them. A Lictor, because honestly, having a Infiltrator with Fights First is awesome. Then you have 2x1 Pyrovores. These are going to be really useful for just being in annoying places to do actions or to remove cover from people, because removing cover is a big deal when the majority of your shooting is going to be AP1 or AP2. Then we're going to have 6 squads of 6 Tyranid warriors with ranged bioweapons. Each squad's going to have 2 heavy venom cannons. Each squad is going to have, the rest of them are going to be, I think it's the Death Spitters, right? Let me just make sure it is the Death Spitters before I tell you wrong, because I always forget the name of which one. Yeah, it's the Death Spitters, because the 3 shots can be strength 5, AP1, damage 1. All right, so this is pretty dang sick, and it's pretty darn strong. We're then going to follow it up with 2 units of 3 Venomthropes, 3 units of a single Excrin, and a Psychophage. Now, this is a common theme that you're going to see in some of the lists. The Venomthrope and Psychophage buffs. What this does is it turns your Tyranid warriors into mini Custodes, all right? Because suddenly you're going to have a 5-up invulnerable save. Then you're also going to have a 6-up Feel No Pain from the Psychophage. And you're also going to be stealth, so you're going to be -1 to be hit. This makes these guys freaking durable, especially when you consider the fact that they're going to be regenerating. One of the greatest tricks, and maybe I'll show this on TTS on a specific video dedicated to like the strategies to hold primary objectives. But what you'll do is you'll put your unit behind a wall and just put 1 model on an objective so that your opponent's army can only see 1 of your models. So they're very unlikely to wipe your entire squad in 1 shooting activation. So they're going to kill the 1 model, and then they won't be able to shoot your unit at all. So then in your command phase, what you do is you spend 1 CP to regenerate a Tyranid warrior. Suddenly you hold the objective. It's a very, very powerful ability that you're just going to be able to abuse in this particular army. All right, so this is Yog's list. These guys get super, super durable. You're not going to have cover on really anything, because you're going to spend a CP to ignore cover with 1 of the units, and then to strip cover for everyone else. And then the Pyrovores can also be removing cover as well. It's not the hardest hitting army, but it has a lot of control, a ton of OC, and it is quite dang durable. And then the Exocrins, don't get me started. These freaking Exocrins, with at least one of them is going to be a Strength 11 Exocrin, which is absolutely nutty. Oh, gosh, they're the most undercosted units in the game. Oh, I hate Exocrins, but they're so good. All right, let's move on to the My way. So this is a little bit of a different take on it. So I'm going to run the Hive Tyrant, because I think the Hive Tyrant is really, really good in this detachment, because all of these stratagems are stupendous. They're so darn good. And you're going to want to be spending CP on them. So you need some form of CP generation. So I'm going to start with the Hive Tyrant. We're going to have a Neuro Tyrant. And we're going to take 2 Winged Tyranid Primes. One is going to have the Advance and Charge enhancement, and then one is going to have the +1 to hit enhancement. A 10-man Gargoyles, 10-man Hormagaunts, for the same reasons as we said earlier. Biovore, because Biovores freaking rock. I don't I don't understand how someone would not take a Biovore in a Tyranid's army. 2x1 Lictors. I think lone op units are just insane, especially Fights First lone op units. They're busted good in this game. You know my Blood Angels list. I run 3 Fights First lone up characters, and it is nasty to deal with. So Tyranids can basically just spam this with Lictors. They're so high value. So I'm definitely going to take at least 2 here. I'm going to run 1 6-man unit of warriors with melee bioweapons. They're going to be obviously running with the Advance and Charge enhancement. Then I'm going to have 2x3 warriors with melee bioweapons. These are going to be little skirmishers. A 6-man warrior with ranged bioweapons. This is going to be with the Prime who has the +1 to hit. And then a 3-man ranged bioweapons. They're going to be there just for a little bit of support, maybe doing an action, things like that. I'm going to have 3 Venomthropes, which will give everyone cover. Then I'm going to have 6 Zoanthropes. Guys, Zoanthropes go to strength 14 on their las cannons. You shoot the target that they're going to shoot into with an Excrin first, so that you proc the reroll hit rolls of 1. So now they're hitting on 3s, rerolls of 1. You can also have them hitting on 2s if you want to attach the Neurotyrant to them, which is totally a real option. So then they would be hitting on 2s, rerolling hit rolls of 1. And then they're going to go up to strength 14 with their las cannons. And you can also give them reroll wound rolls of 1. So it's just the buffs that you can stack on a single unit can make it really freaking disgusting. So I do like the Zoanthropes, especially since I have the Hive Tyrant. They're going to get lethal hits on their strength 14 las cannons, and they get assault on it as well, which is very critical because they are pretty dang slow. So in this particular army, the Neuro Tyrant can attach to either the Zoanthropes or the Warriors, just depending on what you're wanting to do. The cool thing is if you don't attach the Neurotyrant, then the Zoanthropes will benefit from the stealth aura of the Venomthrope. So there's different options there. And then finally, you're going to have 3 Exocrins, because Exocrins are freaking amazing. All right, now I'm going to talk about the meme one, and then I'm going to get to the one that I'm really excited about. So I've got two more lists for you. One is kind of memey, but honestly, it's pretty freaking good still. And then one is like just a disgusting list that's tailored probably more for teams, but oh my gosh, is it going to cause problems? So here's the big way. This is kind of a bit of a meme, but I got to be real with you. With a little bit of innovation, guys, you're going to see something like this be a nightmare. So we're going to start with the Neurotyrant, just very important to have. We're going to take a Parasite of Mortrex because it is a fast, loan-up character that's going to go score you points. This list is made for scoring and killing some. Then we have the Winged Tyranid Prime. You're just always going to have at least one. 10 Gargoyles, the Biovore, of course. 3 Lictors. So now we have 3 loan-up fights first units that are pretty big problems that all infiltrate. This is going to put a tremendous pressure on the board, and it's going to cause problems for our opponents because it's really hard to interact with those lictors a lot of times. 1 Neurolictor. We're going to take Pyrovores, and then we're going to have 2x6 Tyranid Warriors with ranged bio weapons. Finally, we'll finish it up with 3 X-Crins, and of course, the Harridan. Now, we already talked about some of these stats from the Harridan in the beginning of the video. This guy goes up to a strength 12, 2d6 plus 6 blast shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, because the X-Crin's going to proc the reroll 1s first. You can give him reroll wound rolls of 1, and he'll be at strength 12. That's going to be at +1 to wound. So he gets all those shots at strength 12, AP 3, damage 3, and you'll probably have him ignoring cover. This is bonkers and bananas. You can start him in hover mode if you want to keep him on the table, or you can start him in reserves just to have him fly off the board a few times. If you do it that way, he's probably only going to activate 2 or 3 times, but realistically, do you need him to activate more than that? I don't think so. This guy is a nightmare to deal with, and he's a really big problem, and those biocannons have 48-inch range. And don't forget that aircraft specifically, uses the old towering rules. So they can just see the entire board, more or less, because he's so freaking big. It's a huge problem for your opponent to deal with. And then finally, so this list, there's a little bit of a meme aspect here, but man, there's something good. There's some really good stuff in there too. So now I'm going to get into the list that I'm super mainly excited about. This is finally Warrior Max. All right. And this isn't actually Warrior Max. The actual Warrior Max list where you're running like 72 Warriors, I think, is a meme. I don't think you do run it. But this is a style that I would probably be looking to bring more in the teams aspect. So effectively, what we're building here is we are going to build Tyranid Warriors that are going to be more or less durable than freaking Custodes. And it's actually shocking, and it's really freaking sick. So we take the Hive Tyrant because we need CP generation. We take the Neuro Tyrant because, honestly, when you do the Shadows in the Warp, you want the bonus -1 to their battle shock test. You have 3 individual winged Tyranid primes. You're going to be running +1 to hit, and you're going to be running advance and charge. Those are the 2 enhancements. Then we have 10 Hormagaunts, just actions, early area denial that you can just sacrifice the unit, stuff like that. We're going to take the Biovore because the Biovore is epic, and he's going to score you tons of things. He's just going to stop your opponent's rapid ingress. He's just a beast. Double Lictor, because you want that early board presence where you can screen out your opponent's infiltrators and you can screen out your opponent's scout moves. And then you're going to take 5 units of 6 Tyranid Warriors with melee bio weapons. It's brutal. 6 Tyranid Warriors with ranged bio weapons. You're going to have the +1 to hit to prime with them. And you're going to have 1 naked prime with one of the 6-man melee weapons. And then you're going to have the advance and charge with the 6-man melee weapons. Then I'm going to have 1 Exocrine, 3 Venomthropes, and a Psychophage. So basically what we get is 150 points of Warriors. Here's what you have, guys. You have 18 wounds that are going to have a 5-up invulnerable save. In shooting, they're always going to be cover, of course. They will be -1 to be hit because you're going to have stealth from the Venomthropes, which will stretch to cover the entire army. It's not hard. And then in melee, and then the Psychophage will be there as well, giving them a 6-up feel no pain. So 18 wounds with a -1 to be hit modifier. And then they're going to have a 5-up invulnerable save, a 4-up armor save in cover, with a 6-up feel no pain. And then in melee, they get to reroll save rolls of 1 with a 5-up invulnerable save. For 150 points, this unit is much more durable than an equivalent 150 points worth of Custodes. This army is going to be a massive stat check that is going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of armies. This is something I'd be looking at doing more in a team's environment, although I can see how you would run it in singles as well. I think the 1 excrement is still really important here to give yourself a little bit of shooting pressure, and don't forget you can get it to that critical strength 11, which is super darn important. So this is it, guys. I think this is a nasty teams list. All of these lists are going to be innovated on. This is day 1. We're going to have a lot of practice. We're going to have ideas of how we're going to switch things up. But use these to give yourself a jump start on the competition. Try them all out. There is merit and there is logic and thought process behind each one of these lists. I think you're going to enjoy all of them. And I'd love to hear your own brilliance and how you modify them in the future. So with that, I'm going to take off. This was video number 2. I do have one more video today that I think I'm going to be dropping. Hopefully I get to it today. It's been a pretty busy day where I'm going to be dropping some spicy news for that GW is keeping on the DL. So until next time, crump on, baby. Bye-bye.